Welcome guys, today's video we're gonna do speaker.
Sinarge yan?
Yung Bluetooth speaker. Bluetooth speaker. Dito.
Saan si Kuya?
Andun na. Andun na, susunod kay Georgie.
Saan ba yung Bluetooth speaker?
This video, we're gonna watch some
Sinarge to?
search. In this video, we're gonna watch. In this video, we're gonna watch kids scared of balloons. Yeah. Kids scared of balloons. So let's watch.
It was my 8th birthday when I first realized that something was very wrong with me.
Okay. There's balloons. Yeah. What's that? Oh. What?
What's wrong, honey? But I didn't reply. I stared in horror at what was before me. At first, everyone was worried, but when I pointed to what had scared me, everyone started laughing, and Dad angrily left the room. She's scared of balloons. Hi, my name is Samantha, and I'm really scared of balloons. I mean, deathly terrified. There's even a term for it, global phobia. I've had it since I was a kid, and it's one of the reasons my dad doesn't really like me. But before I continue, don't forget to subscribe to my story animated. You are so dumb. This is the 5th game you've lost. I burst into tears. My opponent was 5 years older and captain of the high school chess team. Of course she won, but Dad wasn't having it. He said, "It's the 5th game you've lost."
Look at that. Look at that face. Look at that face. I don't understand this face. Look at this face, bro. Look at this face.
I burst into tears. My opponent was
And look at that. And why is he happy? You're supposed to be carrying him. And how he's get like that. That's so weird.
5 years older and captain of the high school chess
He's 5 years old. What?
team. Of course she won, but Dad wasn't having it. He said that I was just a dumb kid. He still seemed...
He was a master of chess. Me? I'm actually a chess player. My coach is actually a chesser. I don't know about you. I'm Ateneo, and I switch on schools. Ateneo, I just practice chess and checks. I'm a domino wins. And of course, don't look, not for me. Miss, I'm defeater. Okay, let's watch the video.
angry about the balloon thing from the previous week. Just then, my brother ran in and reenacted the scene from my birthday. It was so annoying. My mom got me deflated balloons and I told her they didn't scare me, but as soon as she started blowing them up, I threw a tantrum and left. They just didn't understand. When my fear didn't go away for the next few months, Dad dragged me to a doctor who checked me over and said there was nothing to be done. She's scared and that's that. Dad lost his temper and stormed out. A few months later, when I came home from school, I saw my parents arguing very loudly in the living room. I'm never enough for you, am I? I work day and night, but you never appreciate it.
Bruh, look at that face and look at that. That face, look at that. The face, look at that. Okay. Let's watch the video.
Don't you dare pretend you're the victim. I know what you've done. I just don't have the proof, but I'll get it one day. They even mentioned my name a few times. The next morning, we found Mom lying on the couch surrounded by ice cream and junk food. Her hair was a mess and she looked like she'd been crying all night. Dad was nowhere to be found. Slowly, my uber-thin mom started to gain so...
Look at jiggly. Jiggly.
So much weight. Eventually, she could barely even move. Looking after Cody suddenly became my job, and Dad just made things worse. He would only come home to yell and eat and be mean. He kicked Mom out of their room and forced her to sleep on the couch. He kept on calling me stupid and ugly. I don't know who you take after. You disgust me. The only person he didn't hate was Cody. When I was in the 8th grade one day, Cody didn't come home from school, and my dad kept acting like it was somehow my fault. He told me to go look for him and not come home without him. I was scared to go alone, so I asked my mom to come with me, but she just rolled over on the couch. I couldn't stop thinking about all the horrible things that could have happened to him. It was starting to get dark, and that's when a creepy guy walked up to me and said, "You look lost, little girl. Come with me and I'll take good care of you." I tried to keep my voice from shaking as I said no, and turned and ran as fast as I could. Suddenly, I realized I was lost. I was really tired and slept in an alley next to a dumpster. "Wake up. Hey, kid." I opened my eyes and found a blonde-haired boy looking at me. He looked familiar. I asked him who he was, and he simply said, "Get up. This is no place to sleep." Then he dragged me home. He was a few years older than me and said he'd seen me around. He looked so worried, it made me feel kind of warm inside. But when I turned to thank him, he was gone. Inside, I saw Cody sitting in the kitchen. My dad saw me and laughed loudly. Then he handed Cody $5. "That was the best idea you ever had." My brother's smile widened. I was so angry I headed up to my room, but my dad shouted,
Now I want y'all to download this game and win a game using the letters of your name. Now my name is Russell, so let's see how this goes. Okay, you
that I was late for school and forced me to go there smelling of garbage. I had to stop at a friend's place to shower. A few months later, after a really nasty fight with Dad, I skipped school and decided to visit the local carnival. It seemed like a great idea until I got there. As soon as I walked in, a clown jumped in front of me and laughed. "What are you doing here alone, little missy?" But I couldn't reply. I was staring at something far, far scarier in his hand. A balloon. I was about to scream when someone snatched the balloon and deflated it. Then I felt an arm around my shoulder as someone whispered, "It's okay. It's gone now. It's gone. Breathe." I finally regained some clarity and looked at my savior and jumped in fear. "Oof, the mask scared me." He laughed and took off the mask. I stared in shock. It was the same guy who'd taken me home when I was lost. Are you following me?" "Yes." No, my uncle owns this carnival. I'm helping out. I asked him who he was. "I'm Tom. I live across the road from you, silly. I was at your birthday too. The one who blew up the balloons that terrified you. I'm sorry." Then he stayed with me as I roamed the carnival. Every time he saw a balloon, he'd tell me to close my eyes, and then he would hold my hand as we walked past them. By the time I got home, I knew I was in love. On the day of my 14th birthday, I had decided that after school, I would ask Tom if he loved me. But as soon as I got to school, I screamed and tried to run back out, but the door was locked. One of the kids outside yelled, "Happy birthday, freak!" I just couldn't take it anymore. Suddenly, I heard a noise and the door flew open. I looked up scared, but it was Tom. He helped me up and told me to close my eyes. Then he led me outside. As soon as we left, I realized I couldn't do it. I could never tell him I loved him. He probably thought I was a freak too. I mean, he lived with balloons. Sure, he'd put up with me now, but for all I knew, he just felt very sorry for me. The next day at school, I started to find small gifts and little cards in my locker. Were they from Tom? Before I could investigate, though, COVID-19 happened and I was stuck at home. My dad decided his new hobby was going to be messing up my Zoom classes. One time, he swore at me for no reason and the entire class heard it. And it was the worst. Ranting over the phone was just not the same. In one class, my teacher got up for something and someone said, "Hey, Sam, you were right. She does have a lopsided butt." My teacher was livid. I didn't know who it could be until I heard Cody and my dad laughing like crazy in the next room. Cody got some chocolate for suggesting that great idea. That night, I heard a sound coming from our storeroom. I found my mom there crying and looking into some kind of chest. I was stunned. Mom hadn't left.
See that? That's yours. Okay, this is enough. Bye.